Wow, really good hour and a half long practice session this morning, mainly thanks to some students not cancelling their lessons. Often if I'm not feeling particularly inspired, I do tend to pull books out. These are some great issues by my friend Greg Fishman. Greg is going to be on the vlog soon. I said in the past how I need the volume button to see. Hopefully that dead cat's not getting too much in the way of the frame. And the excellent Jackie McLean warm-up book. Excellent book. Anyway, I wanted to talk in today's vlog, vlog 199, because I need to get a very special one together for vlog 200 downtime. Because I realised how many new people we've had since I did the 100th vlog. So if you haven't watched the 100th vlog, check that out. The kids love that one mainly because the cake dropped on the floor. So hopefully I won't be doing any cake dropping on the next vlog. But I wanted to talk today about exams, and music exams in particular, because I know a lot of students are going through exams, and my students have got exams coming up this week. And I wanted to talk about something I'm very proud of my students with, which is 100% pass rate. I started teaching 17 years ago, and I've never had a student fail on my watch in a practical associated board exam. And for grade 8, my students have a 100% distinction rate. Now, that's something I might be proud of, but actually I'm more proud of my students for doing that. But I want to just highlight a few things that my students do or have done that has enabled those marks to happen. Because I've had a lot, particularly with I've had a lot of students who've scraped through, well maybe not totally scraped, but they do get good results. Now there are some exam boards who let students not do scales or sight reading, which I think is a really bad thing, because you actually need those skills to be able to move forward in music. But the key thing that all my students have had is, well, let's put it this way, I often tell this story, and it sounds a little unfair on some of the students who are talking about, but before I left Northern Ireland in 2011, I had a students' concert in the library, and my two star students, Matthew and Oliver, were stood next to me. I think they were doing a duet, and I was very honest with all my students in the room, and I said, look, I teach all of you the same. You'll have the same access to information that these two do. The difference between those two boys who were doing really well was that they both did all their long tone exercises, all their scale exercises, all the transcription projects I gave them to do. They did the work. They did especially what I might term the donkey work. The work that, to be honest, I try and skip over a lot of the time, and it's not to my credit that I do that. I do try and make myself go back. But those exercises where the rest of us skip them, these are the people who do it. Now, those two boys, I was told once by another music teacher, you can't get 30 out of 30 on pieces, because the associated board mark the piece. You have 3 pieces. You have 2 with a piano player, 1 unaccompanied, and they're all marked out of 30. So you get 30, 60, 90 on the pieces, 21 for scales, 21 for sight reading, 18 for oral, and you're marked out of 150. You need 100 to pass, 120 to get a merit, over 130 to get a distinction. Those two boys got 30, 30, 30. I think 30, 30, 29 one of them got. The other one got full marks on their pieces. And they were the first students I entered for exams after I started teaching on Skype. And I was a little bit worried that on Skype I wouldn't be able to judge how their pieces sounded because I wasn't in the room. And I had to sort of listen to a phone line. I couldn't be as in detail as I had been in the past, and that taught me a lesson. Basically, if I shut up and let students interpret them with a little bit of guidance, often they ended up with higher marks. So that's definitely a little lesson I learned, and I now try and be a little bit more laissez-faire with particularly interpretation of pieces. I will offer direction, definitely, that's what I'm getting paid for. But in terms of, especially at the higher end, I want students to be able to interpret themselves and get an idea. The big thing I did place an emphasis on was listening to those pieces by various different artists and trying to understand how those pieces should sound and how then you could interpret them. The other thing to remember is you can't fatten a pig on market day, so you have to do the work beforehand. You have to make sure that you've done months and months and months of practice. And I didn't do that before my grade 8. I remember it was a February, I remember lighting the fire and trying to cram like I'd done for all my other exams, academically particularly, because I was relatively bright. And I could get away with it, but I couldn't get away with it for my grade 8. I mean, I passed it, but I didn't get the mark I should have got because I didn't put the work in on the months leading up. So you've got to do those kind of things. Apparently, according to Katie, the cat turned the washing machine off last night. But it looks like she's done it again because I can't actually get the clothes out the washing machine. So that's my excuse anyway. The other thing you have to think about with exams is working with an accompanist. So one of the things I'm doing now is make sure I get all the rehearsals worked out for the exams this week. I can play piano accompany students up to about grade 5, and then the pieces start getting a bit difficult for me, so I normally hire in other accompanists to do that for me, to work with students. So that's what I'm doing now, making sure everyone knows where they're going. One year, one of my students, James, I only met him the morning of his, in person on the morning of his grade 5. I taught him for about 18 months beforehand via Skype because he lived in Greece. So they flew in on the morning of the exam, came here, had a rehearsal with the piano player, went out, did the exam, he got distinction. That was fantastic. Just about to go and pick the kids up from school, but there are two things I wanted to talk about. Two ideas that I've kind of got coming up. One is a bigger video, briefly talk about that. I'm kind of really aware that a lot of people, and I know I've fallen into this trap before, are trying to follow like a path for their musical career, and I know I challenge myself on that a lot, kind of where is this going, what is happening with this, especially music. I always feel, and I was kind of having this idea that I want to film a load of people on a stage, and you've got the option that you can try and squeeze in onto that stage. Now you might have a bigger presence, you may have a louder sound, you may have the chance to get towards the front of that stage, but there's a lot of people on that stage, a lot of people trying to take the same route. And over there, there's an empty stage. Maybe there's not even a stage being built yet. That's how I feel now in my career. I'm trying to go. I'm trying to go across the way to the empty stage, or to actually build a stage, to build something new. When I think of all the great innovators, and I don't class myself amongst these people yet, but even in this country, think about someone like Ronnie Scott, who set up Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club. He was the first person to ever do that. He didn't go looking for kind of the same clubs that everybody else was playing at and all this other thing. He set up his own thing and people came.
I think it went louder to quieter, but then I don't think it changed much. So I think I'll select narrow dynamic range.
Yeah, I'd say that. That was one of my students, James, who has his exam on Thursday of this week, so we were going through. I thought it'd be interesting just to show you a very little glimpse of how what I'm doing the last lesson before his exam. Didn't get the whole lesson in because that's his lesson, not yours. But just remember those 3 things I've spoken about as far as passing music exams go. Number 1, you cannot fatten a pig on market day. You've got to do the work beforehand. Okay, the weeks, months leading up to it. Those students who get the distinctions deserve the distinctions because they do the work beforehand. That's my experience. Number 2, scales. Everything, I've never seen a high scale mark and a low sight reading mark. I've seen plenty of low scale marks and low sight reading marks, and high scale marks and high sight reading marks. Those students that are doing the scales tend to be better at sight reading, especially the idea I was talking to you about the other day about the scale primers. So not just playing them in crotchets or quarter notes, as you Americans might call them, but kind of being able to subdivide that beat. So being able to keep the metronome at 60, play them at 60, and then be able to do them at 120, divide them into triplets, divide them into semiquavers, divide them into other rhythmic ideas. That's what gives you the ability to be able to sight read comfortably, is being able to understand where the scale fits in and where the rhythm fits in. That's really important. And the third thing is understand, which I'm understanding as well when I was talking about this, is that growth is seasonal. Sometimes you'll make rapid progress and you'll really push forward with things. Some days, some weeks, especially as you get up the higher grades, it gets harder. There's that thing called the law of diminishing returns, in that you have to keep practicing a lot just to stand still. Whereas if you put that amount of practice in at the beginning, you make rapid progress. So understand that you will make seasonal growth, and you've got to therefore put the work in when your brain's working and you're able to dedicate the time to it and make that growth. Be like the grass I was growing today. And also allow yourself, my final point would kind of be, allow yourself to be pruned, allow yourself to be cut a little bit when you are growing well by a good teacher, because that will then enable you to grow even stronger and better and survive those winter months as it goes down. That's all I've got time for today. Thank you very much for watching the vlog. The next vlog will be the 200th episode of my vlog. If you haven't watched any of the others, please go back and watch them. The 100th one is quite a good one to watch because it covers everything up to 100. What I'm going to do for the 200th, I'm not sure, but I've got a few ideas planned, and so stay tuned. Please hit the subscribe button, because then as soon as I launch a video, you'll know about it. And it's been great taking you on this journey so far, and I'm looking forward to the next 100, 200, however many vlogs we do from now on. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great evening. See you soon. Bye bye.